Well, it's wet, though it might no 0T end up being much of a mutter tonight. Some rain persisted overnight and the tarps were finally lifted off the track this morning early to reveal some water in the low-lying areas. But that might be the worst it gets, as no more rain is expected to fall throughout today and the track should only wear in more as the day goes on. Hopefully we end up with a solid racetrack by the evening. As for the storylines, Red Bull KTM's Cooper Webb enters tonight with a 3-point lead in the championship over Monsterenergy Yamaha Star Racing's Eli Tomac. Honda HRC's Chase Sexton won last week in Detroit but was penalized 7 points after jumping on the red cross flag, which pushed him down to 17 points back in the championship entering Seattle. The 250SX West class is back in action this weekend after a little over a month off, going back to mid-February when they last raced in Oakland. Honda HRC's Jet Lawrence has a commanding lead over Rockstar Energy Husqvarna's RJ Hampshire and Monsterenergy/Pro Circuit Kawasaki's Cameron McAdoo, but perhaps a tricky track tonight could shake things up.
Welcome to MxGP, the channel for all things motocross. From the latest news to exclusive content, we've got you covered. Whether you're a seasoned rider or a fan of the sport, we'll bring you the stories that matter most. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest content.
Free practice. As the first set of practices hit the track, it was apparent the track would be totally fine. It was a little wet in some spots, but the tops of the jumps were essentially dry. Pierce Brown was the man setting the early pace when the A group finally hit the track, as he became the first rider into the 55-second range all day. The times continues to drop down as the main lines started becoming the triple-triple to end both long rhythm sections. Cameron McAdoo momentarily took the top time away from Brown, but Brown fired back with a 54.1 as the flag waved to end free practice on top. The 450A group hit the track next and some of the corners were really starting to get some deep ruts. Eli Tomac shot out in front of everyone early on and looked solid throughout the whole session. Chase Sexton waited until the very end to put his best lap down, and it was enough to go fastest. Cooper Webb had a small tip over in the 90-degree corner after the first rhythm section, and then Grant Harlan went down in the second rhythm section after the finish line with Chase Markier, but that was the only real incidence of the session. Sexton's 53.8 was enough in the end to stay on top. Combined session. The final qualifying session of the day saw a great track, as the long break between qualifying not only allowed a lot of work on the track, but also the sun had come out, which was really drying out some parts of the track that were still soggy and soft. Right away as the 250A guys hit the track, the best times of the day started flying in. A handful of guys found their way into the 51s, which was led by Jet Lawrence's 51.312. Jet actually put a few 51-second range lap times in, as he had a half-second in hand over Hampshire and Levi Kitchen, who were both on a 51.8. Lawrence again lowered his time right as the checkered flag waved to go down to a 51.027 in the end, which was more than enough to qualify P1 in the 250SX class. After that, it was time for the last 450A qualifying session of the day as the riders practiced their start going into the night, and Chase Sexton led the field around again. Adam Cianciarulo was the fastest man early on, laying down a 51.1, but Chase Sexton found his groove around halfway through the session to put in a 50.704 and become the first rider all day to dip into the 50s. Eli Tomac didn't seem too comfortable in this second session and even was doing a completely different rhythm than the triple on-off 3-2-1 line in the first rhythm section, as he went rollover table 3-3-1, and it seemed to be a little bit slower. When he finally got a solid lap in, he was only able to jump to 5th fastest, which is where he would stay. Sexton's time stayed on top the rest of the session, as Cianciarulo's 51.191 was the closest rider to Sexton behind him. Sexton rolls into the night show with P1 in qualifying in the end.